What's up, guys? Back with another video. However, this is going to be a little different because I'm driving, so I have to multitask. But today's video is just strictly part of my journey into becoming a better communicator. So one thing I realized with me is I get very nervous in public speaking to camera, and just in crowds of people I don't know. However, when I'm around people I'm comfortable with, I can speak what I want. I'm very good at communicating, and I just took a lot of work to figure out where that disconnect came from. And I think it's just my self-talk, the way I talk to myself. But anyways, I don't want to sound like a guru or anything like that. The purpose of this video is to get on here and become more comfortable speaking to people I do not know, right? So part of that process is every day I have to allocate 30 minutes to speaking. So why not do the videos? And with these videos, I could go back and watch it and see the improvement or see a pattern that I could correct. So that's part of this process. But anyways, I have to pick a topic and talk about it. So today what I'll be talking about is leadership. And it's not in the sense of, hey, I'm going to be an influencer that gets on here and talks about leadership and let me sell you my training course. No, I'm talking about leadership in a whole different capacity. Real life leadership, where you show up and you handle your business. It has nothing to do with a title, because let's be honest, there's a lot of leaders who are shitty leaders, and there's a lot of workers that are great leaders, right? So it's more of traits and characteristics you have within yourself, not necessarily a title. So I'm going to dig deeper into the fundamentals I think are important in leadership, right? Is being able to communicate to your forces, your guys or girls, that, hey, I have your back, I'm here for you guys, right? Because I think a lot of leaders forget that their job is to take care of the people below them. They work for the the people below them. We don't work for the boss, right? So I think that's where the lines get crossed and people confuse it. Like, hey, you're the worker, you're going to do what I tell you, where that is the absolute worst thing to do, right? Especially in certain fields. You have some fields where people will be like, oh yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to sit down and I'm not going to do anything until you tell me step by step how to do this. In certain fields, you have people who got the leadership position just based off of schooling, not based off of experience. So when you come into a field where you got someone who's been working there 20 plus years and has grinded from the bottom and worked his way up, and you come in there trying to flex your muscle like you're just the boss because you have a title, I encourage people to be very careful doing that, because, utilize those people. Those people have vast amounts of knowledge, and great leadership is being able to tap into people's skills, right? If I know this person is great at building Excel sheets and I have to do an Excel sheet, why would I not empower that person, right? Give them ownership, give them buy-in. Like, hey, I know you're really good with this. I would appreciate you to lead this charge with the Excel sheet, right? This project, and then that allows you to let that person experience a leadership role, which you're setting them up for the next step, right? And for you, it allows you to sit back and actually absorb some information and catch up. If you're in one of those positions where you got the leadership role just based off of qualifications, right? Not necessarily experience. So that's one side of leadership. Another side of leadership is just, like I said, giving your people the power to perform. Great leaders are the worst, right? Because I shouldn't be the best. me as the leader, I've taken a lot of hits, made a lot of mistakes. Whereas if I give you the knowledge and put you in a position to win, you shouldn't make those same mistakes I made, right? So part of that leadership is you should be way better than me if I'm leading you correctly. Whereas sometimes leadership, they get intimidated by that, right? And that's due to a lot of factors. It's due to sometimes, here's an example. You got someone, let me turn down the air conditioner. You got someone who has been in the field for 30 plus years, right? Like I said, they started at the bottom, worked their way up, paid their dues. They're on the tail end of their career. Do you really think they want some youngster coming in there and going above and beyond to a certain point? Because what does that do to them? They have to raise their level now to keep up. And to someone who is already on the end of their career path, telling them, hey, you got to do more work as you're leaving is a hard adjustment, right? So I think that comes into it. And then sometimes people take it as, hey, if my employee steps up and can perform better than me in a leadership role, what do they need me for? Whereas that's not the case, right? If anything, it works in your benefit because it shows your leadership, hey, this person is really invested in the people below him and is setting them up to be more successful, right? So just little things like that. There's so many things when you dig into leadership that it goes way beyond a title. It goes way beyond a paycheck or anything like that. So you got to take what you can. And overall, I would say one thing I've learned a lot of is you're going to have great leaders, you're going to have shitty leaders. However, don't knock the ones that aren't the greatest leaders, right? You can learn from them as well. Think about that. So when you're in a leadership role, you could reflect back and be like, damn, I sound like that dude I didn't want to work for, right? So you can take positives away from any situation and you can find negatives in any situation if you dig deep enough. It's all mindset. But that's enough of my talk about leadership. This was strictly just an exercise to get on here, become more comfortable talking about just a topic I picked right off the top of my head. Part of this whole being able to communicate effectively is keeping track of things I want to hit, but not going off on a tangent, right? I need to learn. I got key topics I need to touch on. And if it's something very important that I need to hit, then cool, I should write it down on a card. That way I get the whole message across. And then after that, I could have my mental notes that I'm taking, right? I should not be trying to think as I speak. I should already know what I want to say and say what I mean with confidence. You know, instead of trying to be Johnny on the spot, which sometimes you have to. But that's not the outline I'm working on right now. I'm working on how can I stay on track with what I talk about? How can I be more confident when I speak? And just have overall great communication skills. This is hard because it's a one-way conversation, right? Like I'm talking to you, but I'm not hearing your feedback. So, and that's how it's going to be. That's why I want to take advantage of doing this on camera, because what happens when you find yourself in a setting where you have to make that commercial for your business, or you have to be the spokesman for your business, or anything, right? You need to be prepared to talk in any situation, and that's one of the things I'm learning is very important, and it's one of the things that are fading quick. And I want to take this time to improve on that. Realistically, to improve on my communication skills, whether that be writing or speaking, and just create value wherever I'm at, whether that's in a room handling business, whether that's a conversation with my friends, or whether that's me talking to some pretty girl, right? Like, I need to have confidence in all aspects of speaking. I know I beat that up a lot, but it's okay because I need to rewatch this video and identify flaws like that. Where did I go off on tangents? Was this even tied to the topic? Because that's a big thing too. I'll find myself like making these YouTube videos and somehow I end up on a different topic that had nothing to do with what I wanted. So I need to be able to stay on track. I need to be able to, Jesus, fix the angle. But yeah, I need to be able to stay on track with the conversation and make sure it's following a flow path, right? I want that intro to be strong. Take that command presence. I want to be informative, but I also, when I'm closing out, I want to state what the objectives were and what you were supposed to get from this conversation, right? That way, if there's anything that needs to be clarified, it can be clarified. One way I like to communicate is having an open dialogue, right? Even tying back to that leadership role, having that open door policy where you should be able to have conversations and conflict resolution without one person getting mad or another person feeling some type of way when we could just communicate, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna get back to driving. I hope you guys enjoy your day. I hope this sparks some type of motivation in you, right? Not saying that that's what I'm here for, is to motivate everybody to be a great speaker, but maybe find something you're not so confident at, work on that, and maybe that's the one thing holding you back, right? So I know for me, I tend not to say much, but no, closed mouths don't get fed. I want to be a great communicator, and I want to speak words that matter and add value. So I hope if you're somewhere in a journey where you're working on things to improve your life, I hope you continue to stay with it, and that's just really what it is. I don't want to get on here and sound like every other guru, right? That's not what I'm here for. So I figure the best thing to do is just be transparent, be honest with myself. That way I can make these improvements. But have a great day. Feel free to check back for the next video. I don't know what it's going to be on, but it will be me talking on camera. So have a great day.